Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of Sports Overtime here. Duke Schindler joining you on the desk, and we got, of course, a sports reporter, McKenna Wright, here joining us as well. Talking some hockey here as we get into kind of the thick of the season here, McKenna. Now we got two different things to talk about. We're going to start off with the biggest news kind of surrounding the hockey world and kind of the area in a way. We're looking at the Minnesota Wild making really a blockbuster deal trade way before the trade deadline, which is also its kind of own thing in itself. They brought in Quinn Hughes from the Vancouver Canucks from Hughes, and then they're sending Marco Rossi, Liam Ogren, Zeev Boyum, and a 2026 first rounder for that deal. And it's turned out pretty well here so far. The Wild are 3-0 with Hughes on this season, but a lot to unpack here, McKenna. So as the resident hockey expert here and the Canadian in the room, give us an introduction to Hughes here. What kind of player is he? What did the Wild get?
I don't think Minnesota Wild fans maybe realize, or maybe they do, and maybe I'm just like out of touch with what the media is saying, but they've just picked up like the guy, in my opinion. Like you see his stats, yeah, sure, maybe he's second, not first, but to many people, he's first. Like, he is the best defenseman in the league, not just from the way he plays in the corners in front of the net, defending, but how he plays offensively as well. And we've seen that in his debut, scoring on his debut night. Just kind of, a really great welcome to Minnesota for him. But
Very much so. I mean, every time he touched the puck, they were cheering, chanting his name, letting him hear it.
And that's what he talked about that in his post-game press conference. He was like, I wasn't expecting that, but like, it's amazing, to kind of get that warm welcome into his new home, because this was like a trade that I guess he knew was coming. He was involved in the process and was looking for somewhere new to get away from, not get away from Vancouver, but to, it just expand a little bit. And obviously, the New Jersey Devils, his two other brothers are there, and that was, they put some lines out for him, but no one was willing to offer what Minnesota was willing to give up for Quinn. So I think that just goes to speak of the kind of player the Wild have acquired just by seeing how much we gave up to get him. But you give up so much and you get so much more back in return, though. So
Right. And you mentioned kind of the player he is and why he's one of the best defensemen in this league. So we're not just talking top 10 guy in the league. We're not talking top 5 defensemen in the league. We're talking kind of 1 and 2 here. So where's the separation come from? Why is he in that top 2 ranking? I'm assuming you're putting Cale Makar into that as well.
Yes, of course. You can't forget about Cale Makar. He's an unbelievable defenseman as well, and a talent that, like, these are two guys. It's like you can't really compare the two. You can, but you can't. They bring such different styles of play. I feel like Quinn is more so that, I don't want to say diamond in the rough, but that's the first thing that keeps coming to my mind, because he's not in the rough. Like, he is an outstanding player, whereas Cale Makar, he's very flashy too. Whereas Quinn is like that kind of hard-nosed, works hard, and gets rewarded for how he works. And Cale is kind of like a skill guy out there.
Right, finesse versus physicality type of deal.
Yes, totally.
You definitely need both of those guys in the league as well, because you see so much on one side and not obviously on the other. And when we talk about those two as well, like you said, since 2022, Quinn Hughes is second in the league for most points from a defenseman. He's got 336, only trailing Cale Makar. Now the Wild, they're sitting at third in the Central Division here. They trail the Stars by 4 and the Avs by 8 in first place. So after this trade, McKenna, how does that move the needle for Minnesota?
Well, they gave up some key components and then have still been able to find ways to win. So I don't think necessarily it is so much of the players as a whole, but kind of like the vibe that's in the locker room, the vibe that's on the practice ice, of the kind of like the production that you're going to get from these guys. So you gave up some key components, some key point getters, but you're still finding ways to win. So I think that's going to be their leg up, making this push to climb to first in Central, climb that ladder. Is okay. We lost some great forwards, but we're still winning. So it's
Yep.
like now you're putting those pieces together and really kind of in this nearing the second half push of what does our team look like now with all these puzzle pieces coming together.
Right, and you brought up a great point, losing a lot of depth there with 3 players heading out to the exit door and Rossi, Ogren, and Zeev, and they're all first-rounders, first-round picks as well, and they added a first-round pick on top of that just to get Hughes. So do you see this as a little bit of an overpay from the Wild side, or is it something they had to do, or is it just like, hey, if you get a great player, a top 5 player in a trade, you kind of win it no matter what?
Yes, that it's you get a top 5 player, you win no matter what. But I think, I think a lot of fans were maybe confused as to like sending away 3 great players, but that goes to speak so much on how much they were valued too by Minnesota. Like you are worth so much to 2 other teams that we have to give 3 of some of our best to get 1 of someone else's best. So it's like it just goes to show how much those guys were worth too, that you had to give up that many to get one in return. But 3 first-rounders, I don't see it as an overpay. I think you get a top 5 player, you keep winning with him. He scores on your debut night. He just goes and shows you, I was worth every penny.
Yep, and that's kind of where my mind is at too. Especially when you throw in like a future first-round pick into it, people put a lot of stock into that, right? But when you send away a top 2 defenseman in the league, you're not guaranteeing that first-round pick will end up another Quinn Hughes. That's why getting Quinn Hughes has been so important, and I'm assuming a big priority for the Wild to get this done even far before the trade deadline.
Yeah, totally. And from what you hear from his previous teams, from Vancouver, from now these new guys his new teammates in the Minnesota locker room, is the culture he brings too. So now you're bringing in a guy that can help develop the rest of your team as well, and new guys you're bringing in, coming into a new draft year. You're just going to gain so much more than just production from him. You're going to build legacy, so to speak, with him.
Correct. And after so much going on with the Parise and Suter situation, I bet it feels like a real breath of fresh air for this Wild team to bring in a new guy that can really take over the reins. But McKenna, when you do bring in a top 5 player, top 2 defenseman in this league into your roster and you ship out 3 guys, it usually takes a minute for things to really come together and mesh. But the Wild have been rolling 6-2 versus Boston, a shutout versus Washington, and then just last night here, another 5-2 huge win versus Columbus. And just what have you seen that's made this team look like a seamless transition so far?
Well, the cool part is like, you have your Matt Boldy's and your Kirill Kaprizovs, your richest paid player in the NHL right now. You watched Minnesota chuck a huge payday at Kirill to get him this year, keep him on the Wild and whatnot. But it's the fact that you have all these guys working so hard. So you have your Matt Boldy's, Kirill Kaprizovs, Tarasenko's, Eriksson X. Like, you have all these household names that are putting points up. So you're getting production up and down the line. You're getting production from your blue line. You're getting production down low in the corners from everybody. So I think that's what's really helping them kind of keep their foot on the gas. And they have this identity, especially being Minnesota, a hockey state, of like hard-nosed, tough to play against, just really good, clean, hard hockey. And I just have been really enjoying the way they've been playing, especially in these last few games, especially watching last night. They come from behind win. You fall 1-0 on the road. It can be hard. Anytime you fall behind, it's hard to come back from. And then they go and they make it a 5-2 final. 2 empty netters, but like still, it was an impressive.
You need to get those to finish the job.
Exactly. So it's just been an impressive first half, so to speak, from them.
And when it all comes down to it, we have the rest of the season ahead of us here. We mentioned they're 3rd in the Central Division there. With this move, does that put them into sort of championship contention? Or from your eyes, they might need to make one more move to be in consideration of those top 3-4 teams in this league?
Well, I think from Bill Guerin and the guys, behind sitting at the office desk, making the deals, making the money trades, whatnot. This just goes to show that is where Minnesota is trending. You give Kirill Kaprizov the payday you gave him, then you bring in Quinn Hughes. That's what everybody's been saying since it was like a done deal that Quinn was coming to Minnesota is, okay, Minnesota is serious about trying to win a cup because you're...
And there's been years where fans have said this team is not trying, they're coasting.
Yep, and now, like, you can see, like, that is what is on their mind is winning. And you have to have a team that winning is the first priority. I know a lot of teams say, oh, it's not about winning, it's not about winning. It is. It is for Minnesota, and you can see that.
Yep. Well, great Minnesota Wild talk. Now we're going to stay on the frozen pond here, head over to UND. They grabbed another weekend sweep and the series sweep versus Omaha on the season. 4-1 in Game 1, 3-1 in Game 2. Domination for North Dakota. That makes it 6 straight wins from them. But McKenna, you remember last week when we talked about how good UND is looking, but to be that elite team, you need to stomp on some throats here. And with the talent they have especially, did it in Game 1, taking a 3-0 lead right off the bat. Game 2, tie game heading into the second period. Omaha takes the 1-0 lead before it's North Dakota that goes 3 unanswered here. So did you see them take steps towards being that team that we talked about last week coming from this weekend?
Yeah, totally, especially because they were without Cole Reschke and Keaton Vierhoff for this last series. So they had to shuffle some things around a bit, put guys in different positions, and one that I know, even though he is a point leader this year, Ben Schindler, they put him on the flank on the power play, and Ben, he had said it in the earlier press conferences of, this is a good decision, coach, like, I promise you I won't let you down, and he scored on the flank like he told everybody he would on the power play, so they had to move some things around, and I think that goes to show of, yeah, they are trending in the right position, because Matt Smaby, associate head coach, said earlier this week, for them, it's about how you finish. Yeah, sure, this start has been great. It's what they wanted. They built a great foundation, but now it's about how you finish. And I think to finish off the first half the way they did just goes to show the kind of team that we can expect coming into the new year, because most teams usually come back a little bit more polished, a little bit more hungry coming back into the second half. So I think what we've seen from them against Omaha in their second 2-game series with them, 2 sweeps in the first half. Yeah, easy money.
And then just a testament to what the talent level is here at UND. 7 goals scored this weekend, 6 different goal scorers. What's giving everyone so many opportunities during this kind of season of giving here? It's really playing into the holiday season.
Yeah, well, that's kind of been their thing all year long. It's a team thing.
No real goal scorer jumps out on the box scores or the spreadsheets there.
Right. I mean, there's a couple guys that have tons of assists, and that's awesome to see, because you love to see those guys, you know, with the helpers. And that would be Will Zellers. I believe he's second or third on the stat sheet. He's got like 16 assists. So he's someone that's leading the stats, mainly in assists. You'd love to see that guy, you know, maybe taking a couple more rips at the puck, try to put a couple more goals in the net for himself. But yeah, it's just been incredible to see how many guys are getting production from, and that's one thing from a coaching standpoint that, like, you can't take for granted, is especially when you maybe lose a couple pieces of your puzzle, you still got guys out there that can put the puck in the net.
And a great weekend for them to get this weekend sweep, too, as they head into the break. Next series is coming up January 2nd. But looking at the NCAA rankings, the USCHO, UND's remaining at 4, but in the NCHC, we got a new leader at the top. It's North Dakota after Denver. They took a loss to my alma mater. Got to shout them out. St. Cloud State back in it once again. But now UND, they hold the conference by a single point here. So McKenna, now that they're heading into this winter break, how do you really define this first half of the season for UND?
I think for them, if I was, you know, a member of this UND hockey team, you would say it would be gritty. And that is just pretty much what the NCHC is all about. I know when they come back in January, they're going to take on an Atlantic hockey opponent, and they are, I think they're like 36-2 all time against Atlantic opponents. So UND has been really great against Atlantic teams, but that's the neck of the woods where I went to school, at an Atlantic hockey school. So I know a lot about the Atlantic and the way that these guys play, and they've always been commended for how tough they are to play against, because they are like down and dirty, do whatever it takes to win. But that is what you see from the NCHC as well, plus you get the finesse in there too. So you have guys that are gritty, work hard, do what needs to be done, but you got skill guys that can dangle you, make you miss, put it through your legs, go top shelf on you, feed someone across the slot, and like just make these incredible plays, but still guys that aren't afraid to get in the corners. So I think that's going to be, or that has been, how you would define their first half of gritty, hard-nosed, but skill hockey.
Yeah, definitely. And when you have the type of talent they have, you can either kind of take that for yourself and be greedy about it, or you can bring everyone in with you, and that looks like what North Dakota's doing here. So heading into the second half of the season, how can they improve enough to make this team a juggernaut in the NCAA?
It's so hard to kind of think that they aren't right now. So I'm like, you're trying to think of like, okay, who can you compare them to that would be like the next best for them to try to compete with? I mean, that's going to be your Western Michigans.
Yeah,
those guys
Big
are
Ten.
Yeah, Big Ten kind of schools. I think for them it would be staying out of the box, staying clean, because like those great teams, they don't take penalties. They're tough teams to play against, but not in the sense of like, oh, we hate playing these guys, they're dirty. It's you love to play them because they compete, but you hate to play them because they're so tough to play. So that's what I think. I won't be surprised if that's what we do see from them coming into, because they've talked about the penalties all year long. We got to stay out of the box, So I think that would be kind of their next step, is keeping all 5 skaters on the ice as much as you can, because as long as you can keep all 5 guys out there, they've been incredible. They've been good on the power or on the penalty kill too. So I mean, they're just a great team overall. But I think if we can just see them keep working on that even strength play, that's what's going to take this team to the next level.
Perfect. And like we said, next action for UND hockey, that's coming up January 2nd. And before I let you go, McKenna, we want to cover some Bison football, as it's the season of giving, but also the season of transferring for a lot of schools here. But it looks like we got some big names returning here, McKenna. Just throw some at me here.
Jackson Williams, they talked about him all season long. He has 2 standout plays that stay in my mind. One was I think it was like a 98-yard kickoff return for a touchdown, and then in their round 2 game against Illinois State, he had a 50-some yard punt return for a touchdown. They're saying that this guy is one of the best to do it on the special teams side of things.
And that can flip a game so fast.
And that was what gave them, the Bison, their spark in that round 2 game, was when he went for that 52-yard run, scored. Everybody was like, oh, yeah, like, okay, we're done, we're good. I mean, so that was what did it for them. So it's awesome to see a guy like that come back, because he had eyes on him all season long. He's been incredible. Donovan Woolen, incredible defensive talent for the Bison. And sitting in that press conference post-game with them after that round 2 loss, I remember looking at Donovan and I was thinking, oh, I don't think we're going to be able to hold on to you, because he's an incredible player and an incredible leader too. And that's a lot of what teams look for, is not necessarily the numbers you put on a stat sheet, but what you can bring to the locker room too. And that's something that all of the Bison coaches have commended him for this season, especially, has been the leadership he plays. So he's coming back. Nathan Hayes, we talked about him earlier. Yep. We weren't sure if they were going to bring someone in, kind of to give him a little more competition, or if we were going to see him go. But like we said last week, you've stuck it out this long, waiting for your chance to start for the Bison. So he's said that he's coming back, but I just think it is so not funny, but kind of funny in a way, that we're at this age in college sports where you have to announce that you're staying and not that you're going, because leaving has become so common for these teams. But really, really, really exciting to see that they've kept over 30 of their guys.
Very much so. And also kind of a vote of confidence, I'd assume, from the team into Hayes as well, right?
Yep, 1,000%. Yep, that they're he's with them all the way. They're with him all the way. So excited to see what they bring in the spring, and that rhymed. But heading into next fall too.
Awesome. Well, McKenna, thank you very much for joining me here on the desk. Nothing but a pleasure talking some puck with you, and as well as some Bison football.
Yeah, of course. Thanks so much.
Yeah, appreciate it very much. We're going to continue a little bit here on Sports Overtime here, because if you saw me in our noon or 4 o'clock show, you may know what's coming here. Kevin Garnett, he is coming back to the Timberwolves organization And it's going to be in a bit of an off-court role as well. He's going to be creating content, getting out in the Minneapolis community, and just being a presence amongst the team. You may be wondering, why does that matter? Well, this is just something the fans have been waiting for nearly 10 years. And when the Timberwolves announced it on their X page, it would put any goosebumps down the spines of Wolves fans here. Now, let me bring this up as well so we can take a peek at this together. Just bone-chilling statement here from the Wolves as I try to pull this up. Let's get it into there. Perfect. All right, this is the press release coming for the Timberwolves here as long-awaited homecoming marks an important milestone that strengthens the team's legacy, culture, and connection with the fans as Kevin Garnett returns to the Timberwolves as a team ambassador here. And not only that, we've been asking for it for years. Get this guy's jerseys in the rafters. Well, A-Rod and Laurie doing a great job. Kevin Garnett's 21 will be retired and raised into the rafters of the Target Center. Or if we get a new arena there as well, but it's fans in the state of Minnesota. Couldn't be any happier. And then we'll move over to a little statement from Kevin Garnett himself, the big ticket, saying, quote, "I'm thrilled to be back home as Minnesota is where it all began, where I was a young, hungry, and learning how to compete at the highest level." And we've seen him do that in that Timberwolves uniform for over 12 years. Been amazing to have him back in the picture here. Now, Garnett was drafted, of course, 5th overall in 1995. We'll bring you back here just for a second as we kind of dive into why. Why was he not involved in the team in so long? He was with the team, traded back for him about 2014. That would be Andrew Wiggins' rookie season. Now, KG, he had it out for former owner Glenn Taylor, really starting when he returned to the Wolves late in his career, where there was a potential deal in place to be a part owner eventually with the late Flip Saunders once Glenn Taylor did eventually decide to sell. Now, as time kind of went on and as KG's time with the Wolves came to an end as a player, Flip was diagnosed with cancer. He eventually passed away. Now, that took any really verbal deal that Taylor had with Garnett off the table, which certainly rubbed KG the wrong way. If you know anything about Kevin Garnett, he's going to be that guy that will hold a grudge. Now, he was very distant from the Timberwolves as well, making only one appearance in Minneapolis and at the Target Center in 2018, where the crowd went absolutely bananas. But he certainly stayed connected to the team and the players, going on his own podcast, talking about how much he stays in touch with some of the young bucks on the Wolves team specifically, and just caring about how they're doing. But now, since new ownership has fully taken over here with Alex Rodriguez and Mark Laurie, they made it an absolute priority to get KG back in the mix, back in the Target Center, and back in Minneapolis without Glenn Taylor in the picture. Now, since Rodriguez and Laurie fully took over the Wolves this year, they've been working under the table to get the franchise legend back in the Twin Cities, and now he is back in the building for your Minnesota Timberwolves. He's going to be doing work for both the Wolves and the Lynx as well. So it's just fantastic to have Kevin Garnett back in the building. We saw his jersey get raised in the Boston rafters, left a really, really big pit in my stomach. We talked about for years as Wolves fans, even in those Chase Budinger years, it was like maybe things aren't going great, the vibes aren't high, but hey, maybe KG will have his jersey raised in the Target Center. Took years to get to that point, but now we finally got it. So Kevin Garnett, welcome home to Minneapolis. And thank you guys very much for joining me here on the Valley News Now Network and Sports Overtime with McKenna Wright as well. Happy Friday, everyone. We'll catch you later.